knows? But as of right now, the answer is no, but don't tell her that. What, you guys just text her?
No, I feel like things would be a little different for me.
Yes. No, they would be.
Just a thought. Yeah, I know. I was kind of mad at her too, Christy, because I was like, you told me originally, and I already told them, and she's like, oh, it's not a big deal. You can just tell them that I changed my mind. I'm like,
that's not how these things work.
I don't know.
That's not how these things work.
So I warned her. We'll see.
Alright, well, that's for future me to figure out. Present me has some E3 shit to get through. And oh boy, do we have some stuff to get through. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a long time. You ready for this?
Yes.
Alright, E3 and the rest. Everyone, say, now, go. Alright, we ready to podcast? Yeah, we are live. We are telling people we are live.
Alright.
We've gotten the liveness.
Okay, going for record here. Going for lightning speed here to get to the video games as fast as possible.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, let's tell our podcast people that. Yeah. Not just our live audience.
Hi, live audience. Hello.
Hello, regular podcast audience.
Welcome.
And live audience.
Hi, welcome to the Media Boat Podcast, your number one source, depending on who you are, for news about movies, television, video games, and music. My name is Matt. His name is Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt. And enough with these intros, because, oh boy, we got a lot to get through.
So yeah, today was a big, this has been a big week with video games. We'll get to E3 later. So first we need to get through the rest of the subjects we cover here on the Media Boat Podcast, and that means we start with movies, and we always start with movies with a weekend box office number.
Alright, let's run through these.
Alright, so, your number one movie this week. Surprised, both of us, so this is not what we called. Number one is Secret Life of Pets 2.
I was worried this would be number one because family ticket, so it gets the 5% bump, or the 5-ticket bump.
I'm shocked that the news coming out about Dark Phoenix was that toxic.
Ooh.
But yeah, apparently. So Secret Life of Pets 2 debuted to $46.6 million, which led to its number one. The aforementioned Dark Phoenix, that's the newest X-Men film, down at number two with $32 million for its debut. Disappointing if you're involved in that program, in that movie, because, man.
It's not like Fox can make another one.
Yeah, exactly. It's over for reals this time. Aladdin came in at number 3 with another $24 million. That thing's sitting at 232 domestic right now.
A solid hit.
Yeah, solid. People seem to be okay with it. Godzilla King of the Monsters at number 4 with another $15 million. That's at 78.5 domestic. And then Rocketman wraps up the top 5 with another $13.8 million. That's at 50 right now. Still made money, though, for the kind of movie that is.
Yeah, it's only a $40 million budget.
So yeah, it's on track to make up its money pretty soon. To make some money. That's the box office. Did you see any movies this week?
I did. I saw Dark Phoenix, but because I literally cannot get into it right now.
We do not have time.
Do not have time. But TLDL, don't see it. No.
Oh,
too long, didn't listen.
Listen, got it.
Yeah, TLDL, don't see it. It's a pass on everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I've heard from everyone. All right, let's move on then.
I'll give my thoughts on it next week. We actually have time.
Yes. So let's get right into the to upcoming releases, though. This weekend, it is a couple of biggins. Men in Black International hits this Friday.
It's a Hemsworth.
It's got a Hemsworth in it, so there you go.
Yep.
Also, this week, the Shaft remake.
Shaft 3?
A Shaft movie.
Movie. Shaft 2019.
Has all the Shafts in it. That also comes out this weekend. So, your number one movie? Probably Men in Black.
Probably Men in Black. It's got a Hemsworth in it.
Yeah. All right. That is it for new releases. So, we get to go to movie news now.
Now, instead of us going through this, let's just speed through everything, okay? So, you give me this.
No.
Yeah. All right.
No, this works.
All right. You want to take the long way around.
No, I just want this to be listenable. Anyways.
Okay, anyways.
Our first news story takes us to the wonderful world of Sony Pictures Animation.
So, you know how Sony Pictures, for, like, beyond all reasonable doubt, had success with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
Yes. Well, they're going to double down on that.
Yeah, looks like it. So they're launching a new international initiative through which the studio will collaborate with storytellers from different countries around the world to develop and produce a wide variety of animated features for both local and global release. They also announced a new alternative animation division that includes a slate of serial projects and features aimed at mature audiences. These new divisions will produce content in addition to the main Sony Pictures animation pipeline, which includes upcoming features like the Angry Birds Movie 2, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and Vivo. Director Genndy Tartakovsky, who's known for Hotel Transylvania, Samurai Jack, and some Cartoon Network classics, shared a first look at two previously announced animated features that he will develop under Sony's new alternative animation division, something called Black Knight and something called Fixed.
Both of these will be R-rated. Black Knight is a fantasy genre where the head knight of the king basically fails at his job because the king dies and thus sets off on a revenge quest, becoming the Black Knight.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, Fixed, is an R-rated comedy that I'm looking forward to, actually, because it's about two dogs that live next to each other. One of them is a show dog, the other one is a mutt. But because they live next together, they love each other. Or so you think. Because the male dog is getting fixed the next day.
Hence the title.
Hence the title. So he has 24 hours to bone, pun intended, the dog neighbor.
Well, we'll see how that works out. This is a good idea. That's all I have time to say.
Yep.
Moving on, our second story is about John Turturro.
Well, this is about the Big Lebowski and John Turturro's character, Jesus.
Yes. So, John Turturro is directing a new film called Going Places that will be a sequel to The Big Lebowski. His character, Jesus Quintana, or Jesus, I've never seen the movie, is the main focus. The film will begin with Jesus getting out of jail after being framed as a pedophile, and will show how stupid men are. He says, quote, "That's what the movie is kind of about. The women are the stronger, more together characters, just like real life." The film wrapped principal photography back in 2016, but only until now was Turturro happy with the cut of the movie, and is ready for release in the fall. I have not seen The Big Lebowski, so
what?
I don't know.
It is a classic Lebowski Fest. The Thor reference.
So are you excited for this?
No.
No.
But
all right.
I am interested because I like the direction of John Turturro and his work, previous body of work.
Fair enough. All right, that moves us into television already. We're blazing through this.
All right.
We start television with sports, always. And right now, as we speak, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final for your hockey is happening right now between the St. Louis Blues and the Boston Bruins. Game 7 right now is in the second period with a 2-0 St. Louis on top.
Yes, 2 minutes left in the second period. By the end of this podcast, we will have a Stanley Cup champion.
Yes.
We'll report on that at the end of the podcast.
We'll let you know. Also, in basketball finals, the Raptors lead the Warriors 3-2. Game 6 will be here in the Golden State, so we'll see how that goes.
Yes, it will be Kevin Durant-less as he injured himself again. Playing in the previous game where the Golden State was down 3-1 in the series.
Got it. Meanwhile, in college baseball, number 1 ranked UCLA loses, with the final 8 teams being Texas Tech, Michigan, Arkansas, Florida State, Vanderbilt, Louisville, Mississippi State, and Auburn. Championship game for that is Monday, June 24th.
Yes, I noted in a previous podcast that UCLA got the number 1 ranking, thus following up on that story.
But man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Out of it already. We'll look forward to June 24th for the wrapping up of that.
Yeah, that'll be a best of 3 series going Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday if necessary.
And then lastly in sports, of course, our favorite sports story of the year is already started. The Women's World Cup is in progress as we speak. The women's team for the U.S. won their first match in group play, 13-0 against Thailand. Overwhelming victory.
Yes, Alex Morgan herself scored 5 goals,
Cool.
one shy of the double hat trick.
Wow, jeez, that's crazy.
But
So we'll see.
out of that, even though they scored 13 points, they only got 3 points in the group setting. So they're just basically padding the stats there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, their next game is this Sunday against Chile.
Chile. All right. Look forward to it. Let's move on now out of sports into proper television news.
One last
sports bit.
/sports/TV news. The Hard Knocks team got announced.
What is it?
It is none other than the future Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, wow. That's smart. This is smart to do.
Yes.
They seem to be really good at picking the one in flux.
Yes, this is basically what all the internet wanted, because not only did the Oakland Raiders, 1, are leaving at the end of the season, 2, got 2 high-profile free agent signings in Richie Cognito and Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
But 3, John Gruden.
Yeah, it'll be a really entertaining show.
It will be.
Needless to say.
Yep.
Speaking of entertaining shows, we move on to television news, which is not actually about any entertaining shows this week. First up, we have stuff about Sky Studios. Sky Studios, if you don't know what it is a Comcast-backed network that plans to double investment in originals over the next 5 years under the banner of new Europe-wide development and production label, Sky Studios. So Sky is it's the cable version of British television.
It's the
right?
British version of
British.
Comcast.
Yeah. Anyways, Sky Studios' first production was revealed as an HBO and Plan B 6-part co-production. That's a lot of companies involved. The Third Day, starring Jude Law. The banner will create new productions for Sky channels, NBC broadcast, and cable, so it won't just affect Europe, and Universal Pictures, as well as for other distribution outlets with a focus on drama and comedy. So they're bringing stuff in-house as Comcast is wont to do.
Yes, this is something that I've noticed a lot more recently as cable providers are creating their own content for their own channel.
Yes.
I kind of don't like it.
No, it's disgusting, but this is the world we live in.
Well, yes, because they need to battle with Netflix, who delivers
Also,
content directly, and then in the future, Disney Plus delivering content directly.
Yeah, I mean, Comcast has been in this business for a while. They own a lot of cable networks like E!
Yes.
And stuff. So, yeah, they've been doing this for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's. Second story is a little follow-up over HBO's Chernobyl. So you've been talking about the last couple weeks watching it. We have a little bit of news about it. With the show being the highest-rated show right now on IMDb, it has its critics, though, mainly in Russia. The Moscow Times has used its media arm to launch a mini-crusade against the series, which has become a source of fascination in Russia. Quote, "The fact that an American, not a Russian, TV channel tells us about our own heroes is a source of shame that the pro-Kremlin media apparently cannot live down," unquote. As a response to the show, filmmaker Alexei Muradov has partnered with Russia's NTV channel to produce a conspiracy theory show, that's in quotes, that inserts American spies into the narrative. The theory goes that Americans had infiltrated the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and were present at the station on the day of the explosion. The show would focus on KGB officers trying to thwart these CIA operatives, instead of honoring the scientists, soldiers, and civilians, aka the Russians, who helped prevent a further spread of radiation. This is obviously a move of the government intervention. Right?
Yes, this is totally government intervention. Yeah. But it also shows just how far-reaching HBO's programming is, because these are probably the same people who watched Game of Thrones also had access to Chernobyl and decided to watch that.
Knew exactly what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Your mileage may vary who you choose to believe, but we're going to figure we're siding with the facts here.
Yes, side with facts, not the theories.
Yes.
But because Chernobyl has been such a success for HBO, the tourism to Chernobyl has actually skyrocketed.
I bet people are risking their tails to check it out. I bet.
Well, risking future tails.
I see what you did there. On that note, let's move on to cancellations and renewals. You have some thoughts about Black Mirror, but we can't get to it right now.
I literally cannot talk about Black Mirror.
So we'll catch up
there
with Black Mirror
are 3 episodes of Black Mirror. I suggest you watch 2 of the 3. I will not tell you which one not to watch. That's for you to decide.
Is it the one with Miley Cyrus? Anyways, don't tell me, actually. I'll wait on that question till next week. Next up, cancellations and renewals. We have 2 cancellations and a renewal. Swamp Thing over on DC Universe has been canceled after not even a season. I guess an episode?
Yes, so one episode aired, and then DC decided to cancel the series.
Yeah. Creative differences from what I understand.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Yes. There had been reports going around that it was a clerical accounting error, that because they shot in North Carolina, they couldn't get their money back, thus they decided to cancel it. But that is not the case, as the reports they were putting out of the money they were losing was more than double the entire budget that the state would allow for a film to shoot there.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is a mess, in other words.
Yes.
What wasn't a mess, though, is one of our favorites here at the Meaty Boat Podcast, which is, of course, The Good Place, our 2 years running favorite show on television.
Yes.
However, is coming to an end. Don't worry, though.
It will stop running.
NBC did not cancel it. I want to make that clear. It is ending, but the creative staff chose to end the series after the 4th season. They felt that they had told their story. So this upcoming 4th season will be its last, but it will wrap up all the loose ends. It will not end without resolution. So that's good news, I guess. It will not outstay its welcome.
Yes, well, unlike other shows by the same team
yes.
of Parks and Rec and 30 Rock and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where those have stories that can continue because they're workplace settings, this is not a workplace setting. This has a finality to it, or at least should be, because it is dealing with the afterlife, which is a finality.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how that works out when the 4th season debuts later this fall.
Yep.
Next up, Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix will get a 2nd season following its successful 1st season. So if you watch that show, congratulations, you get more.
I assume it's a successful 1st season because I have heard nothing about it.
I heard some things that people either hated it or loved it. So I don't know, it seemed divisive. But we'll
All right.
Do we want to hand over, or I'll just keep it? All right, let's move into
music. Let's go straight to the Billboard.
Going. We start with the Billboard and our Hot 100 list, which is our singles chart. This didn't change at all from last week.
Okay, so
number 1, Old Town Road, Lil Nas X. Number 2, Bad Guy, Billie Eilish. Number 3, Talk Khalid. Number 4, I Don't Care by Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber. And number 5, Sucker by the Jonas Brothers.
None of that has changed.
None of that has changed. However, what has changed is a little bit of the Billboard 200. You'll be happy to hear that your number 1 album in the country this week is Center Point Road by Thomas Rhett.
Hey, I called it.
Number 2.
I didn't call it, but I said you should definitely check it out. Yep. And the Thomas Rhetts have the number 1 album.
The Thomas Rhetts, all of them. Moving down to number 2, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish.
Still not gonna get that number 1 slot.
Away. Number 3, Father of Assad by DJ Khaled. Still hanging out there. And DJ Khaled's still bitter that he's not number 1.
I was hoping that was going to be one of your stories this week.
I almost did, but there were 2 better stories. Okay. Then number 4, Free Spirit by Khalid. Still boring. And number 5, another new entry this week. Speaking of Miley Cyrus's new EP, She Is Coming. All caps.
Okay.
She's coming.
Apparently she is here.
TMI, okay. Miley. TMI. We move into new releases this week. First up, we got Bad Books with 3. Baroness with Gold and Grey. Bastille. Yes, that Bastille with Doom Days. Bill Callahan with Shepherd in a Sheepskin Vest. Bruce Springsteen with a new album, Western Stars. Iron and Wine and Calexico, a collaboration album, with Years to Burn. Kate Tempest with The Book of Traps and Lessons. Lucas Nelson and The Promise of the Real, as the band, with Turn Off the News, Build a Garden. Build a Garden is parentheses.
Garden.
Madonna, yes, Madonna.
That Madonna.
With Madam X. Two Door Cinema Club with False Alarm. Ex-ambassadors of Jeep commercial fame with Orion.
That Renegade?
Yes. Hey. And lastly, Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds with Black Star. And that's your new releases this week.
All right, that brings me into music news.
Music news. Our first story is fascinating to me. This story is about a New York Times piece that went up this week. I don't know if you saw this. About the 2008 Universal Studios fire. Do you remember this?
Yes, this was the backlot fire that burned down the King Kong. That famously burned down the King Kong attraction, but also burned down a lot of the back catalog, a lot of the archives that Universal held.
So Universal for a while was kind of keeping this hush-hush. They didn't want people to necessarily know exactly what had been lost in the fire. But the New York Times article recounted this fire and called it, quote, the biggest disaster in the history of music business. The music business, in which thousands of Universal Music Group master recordings were destroyed. They've said bands such as, like, some really popular bands like Radiohead and other bands have had their material burned in this fire and will never be able to be gotten back. So yeah, it's a big deal.
The master recordings.
However, if you ask Universal, this didn't happen. The company has issued a statement disputing the characterization of the damage it caused to the company's archives, saying the article contains, quote, numerous inaccuracies, misleading statements, contradictions, and a fundamental misunderstanding of the scope of the incident and the affected assets. So obviously, if you're the person or the company responsible for this, or at least like where this happened, you're going to be protective and defensive.
This sounds like HR, PR, government speak.
Yes.
Trying to protect their assets, trying to protect not just their stock portfolio, but people's trust in Universal. Which, you know, when you lie about it, great way to keep that trust.
So yeah, as of today, I did see some actual bands that were affected by this have started to speak out about it.
Yes.
So I would say go read some of those accounts. Also, go read the New York Times article. It's fascinating. But yeah, if you're interested at all in what this means. But yeah, this was quite a hit on music history and music preservation.
Well, speaking of Radiohead,
they're back in our second story here. Hackers leaked 18 hours of mostly previously unreleased outtakes from the band's OK Computer sessions from 1997. The band has responded to this by officially releasing the recordings on the online music service Bandcamp. How nice. The recordings will be available for about £18, which is equivalent to $23, for 18 days. And proceeds will go to Extinction Rebellion, which is an ecological activist group that recently staged protests in London. So there you go. If you want to hear rare, unreleased Radiohead material, you can do so, and to benefit a good cause.
Yes, I'm gonna put a big quote around here about the unreleased because they were planning on releasing this anyways.
Yeah, at some point.
The quote unquote hacker was actually a friend of someone in the band who got recordings and was selling it to other people. So instead of basically buying it from them, Radio said, "Oh well, just give us the money and we'll donate it to charity, for the better cause."
Yeah.
There is no ill blood between Radiohead and the quote unquote hacker, but this is just their way of making sure the money goes to a good cause, and not just one person who's trying to benefit from it.
Yeah, hopefully. All right. That does it for music news.
That brings us to some
thoughts. We do have some thoughts, but we don't have time for them. You listen to the Jonas Brothers album, Happiness Begins, as well as the Silver Sun Pickups' new album, Widow's Weep.
Yes, I literally cannot talk about them because we have so much to cover in video games. But TLDL, Silver Sun Pickups sounds exactly like the Silver Sun Pickups, which you would think. The Jonas Brothers album is probably the most poppy album than Carly Rae Jepsen. Yeah. Like, if I thought that album was super poppy,
this is way more.
This is exactly like that. Just all the pop fizzy goodness you want in a pop band.
Well, seeing as that's probably your number one album next week, I will probably have to listen to this as well.
Okay.
So we'll follow back up next week.
I guess we'll listen to that next week.
For now, though, we move on to what you've been waiting for, which is video games.
Wow, we went through all that in about 20 minutes.
Aren't you proud of us?
Ooh!
Now let's talk about video games really quickly, too.
All right, now let's...
First up, before we get to the E3 news, which is the focus of today's podcast, we'll have one upcoming release, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, which is that Castlevania-esque game. Finally coming out, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC this week. The Switch release is slightly delayed for the 25th of this month, so keep waiting on the Switch. But that takes us right into E3. So as you know, E3 is happening as we speak. The show floor opened today. The different companies responsible for press conferences, which is what we'll be going over today. Basically, we're just covering the press conferences. We do not have time to cover other announcements that happen on the sides. We're going to go in chronological order from the first which was, of course, Microsoft, to the most recent, which, of course, was Nintendo's showing on their Nintendo Direct yesterday morning.
So, as we've noted on this podcast,
Yes.
Sony was not at
Right.
E3, which means Microsoft basically had the entire show to basically show why you should purchase Xbox, why you should buy their products, and what they have in store for you.
And they sure did. Let's go right into it. This is, in no particular order, what they announced at the show.
All right.
First up, the biggest news, of course, was Project Scarlet, which is the code name for the new Xbox console. They announced that it will be out in holiday 2020, will feature a solid-state hard drive, just like the PS5, and will have a high-bandwidth GDDR6 RAM for extra speedy gaming.
Just like the PS5.
We'll be able to do, we'll be able to do 8K resolution at most and possibly 120 frames per second in certain games.
Just like the reported PS5.
So yeah, pretty much what they announced was a box that's going to be equivalent to what we know about Sony's box. No big shock.
Right, which going just from this video that they saw, I feel like they put this together to basically respond to that CNET article about the reported PS5.
Be like, no, we have one too. We're not just talking about streaming.
It's like, oh wait, everything that they said, we were going to do that too.
Yeah.
But they're also like a month too late because this was a month ago that the PS5 was rumored, but we're not going to hear about it because Sony's not there. Yeah. They'll do it at their own Sony press conference, and this is Microsoft's way of saying, well, anything you can do, we can do too. Not necessarily better, or we'll say better, but not necessarily. But we can do that too.
So that was the big news of the conference, or so you would think. The internet, however, thought otherwise, because their biggest news of the night, was about a little man named Keanu Reeves.
Who? What?
Keanu Reeves.
I've never heard of this man. You mean the guy from Knights of Rodanthe?
Yes, Mr. Knights of Rodanthe himself, Keanu Reeves. So yes, Keanu showed up on stage in support of CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077, which we saw a new trailer. I would say footage, but it's not.
No,
it's a trailer.
It's a trailer
at the show. By the way,
it's also
really, really cool.
It's a new cinematic.
Yeah, it was a new cinematic.
Other gameplay is out there, but what they showed at the press conference was a cinematic.
But it was all leading up to the end of the cinematic, which of course had Keanu Reeves in it in digital form, as he is a star in this game.
Yes, not in Matrix form, but in other digital form.
He also came up on stage to tell the audience that they're beautiful or something. I forget what it is.
Yeah,
but
someone
it was
yelled
charming,
that at him.
It was cute. Cyberpunk also has been dated. It is coming out on April 16th, 2020. So next year.
4/16?
Yeah, 4/16/20.
Okay.
Smoke up. Next up, Double Fine Productions. That's Tim Schafer's studio that's brought you Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, among other games, as well as classic adventure titles. They are going to be bought by Xbox Studios and will become part of the Microsoft family.
But that's not all.
That's not all. Microsoft was also taking publishing duties for Psychonauts 2, which was previously a joint publishing deal that they had with Starbreeze.
Mm-hmm.
Starbreeze, though, has fallen on to some hard times financially, and so they are not able to do what they had done before, so thus it's getting passed right on to Microsoft with this new deal. So Microsoft will be putting out Psychonauts 2. They also showed a new trailer for Psychonauts 2 with a lot of new gameplay. That game looks like Psychonauts.
It definitely looks like Psychonauts.
Literally all I have to say about that.
It still looks blocky like Psychonauts, but it's Psychonauts nonetheless.
It's Psychonauts, so if you like Psychonauts, well, good look. Next up, Xbox One is getting remote play, what they're calling console streaming, but basically what Sony has with PS4. This means you'll be able to play on your PC, smartphone, future unannounced devices, Xbox games streaming from your Xbox console. This is unrelated to their Xbox xCloud service, which is their streaming service Stadia-like solution that they really didn't talk a whole lot about in this show.
No.
They mentioned it in passing, did not commit to it. So who really knows?